guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from What Culture. He's Michael Hamflett from What Culture, and the dust is just settling on AEW Dynamite 250 episodes of AEW Dynamite. Michael Hamflett, last night's show, of course, opened with MJF versus Will Ospreay for the international title. They went 59 minutes and 58 seconds. I have one simple question for you, Michael Hamflett. Was that the best AEW match ever? It's dividing opinion online.
Yeah, is that a simple question? I don't know. I wasn't sure what to make of the feedback when I saw this match. I watched this match and then you go online as you do, you engage as you're engaging with us now. And
in the comments already, no doubt.
Indeed. And divisive was the word, which I suppose is the way of a 59-minute, 60-minute match now, going all the way back to Bret and Shawn at WrestleMania 12. You can have fights with people about that to this day.
You do, online.
I do. 60-minute matches are going to do that. I hate to say this, but I think I am somewhere in the middle. Nobody wants that anymore. Like, you're supposed to absolutely love it or absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
And I'm somewhere in the middle, but I feel a sense of guilt over that because what I did see was an incredible feat of athleticism and endurance and all the stuff you have to put the wrestlers over for what they do that simply we as mere mortals never ever could. And I always feel it pains to say that, especially when you're talking about a longer match because of what you know as human beings they put themselves through. Thank you. I wasn't like all the way in on it as the work of art and the work of fiction that they were creating. As a fan, me personally.
Yeah, I think the good thing about this is everyone's going to take a step back, look at it and say, look, subjectively, feel what you want about it. That's absolutely fine. Everyone's entitled to their opinion and we're definitely not going to get argued into oblivion in the comments.
Definitely not, no.
I had loads of fun with it, obviously. It's one of those things, the thing that's arguably been going on for at least as long as AEW's been going, if not longer, of how do you feel about the way that they work these matches?
Yeah.
You know, some will say, oh, it was unbelievable. I can't believe that they had these amazing spots and Ospreay getting his shoulder popped back in and kicking out of like super styles clashes and Oz cutters and all this sort of thing and heat seekers and all that sort of hidden blade, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I should mention if you haven't seen it and what you're doing watching this if you haven't seen it, go and watch it and then come back.
Spoiler.
MJF left as international champion, of course. But it's one of those ones where you either think, wow, I couldn't believe it. I was out of my chair when there was all these amazing moves and kick-outs and what have you. Some people say, oh, they just kicked out of everything. So it's one of those. It's also a part of that wider conversation of the referees using his leniency, allowing them to brawl into the crowd because this is a title match. This is a big match that fans want to see and it doesn't want to end in just a count-out. But also sticklers for the rules will be like, yeah, I mean, what was the point? There was a moment when I did laugh where, I can't remember, I think it was Will Ospreay. MJF was guilty of this as well. They'd brawl into the crowd for a minute, 2 minutes, however long it went. Then they'd come back over the barricade. One of them would roll in the ring quickly. It's like, I don't think the ref was that bothered about breaking that count, to be honest, mate. There's obviously the table spot as well.
Yeah.
But yet, like you say, you can't deny the effort that went into this match. And also, some people are, on Cage Match, giving it 10 out of 10, best match of the year, best match of Dynamite's history, etc., etc.
I think that's it. I think that's why we're sat here now, is that we're seeing comments and praise of that stature and hate of a similar degree. There are people that have found that to be an insult to the form, just as there are people that have said it's the best match they've ever seen, best Dynamite match ever, best AEW match ever. Already predictions on Dave Meltzer going 5+ on
easy.
it. Like the Ospreay 5-star match counter getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
That'd be 40 for Ospreay?
Probably, yeah. I'm sure we're on 39 very recently, so that feels about right. So this is, I guess, like why this match is going to generate all this sort of conversation. Just a word on the finish to maybe be able to work backwards onto what it is that maybe people are going at here from the negative point of view. So
MJF won the title clean with just a couple of seconds left. My hero. He's always been my hero.
You could say if you looked, if you still look down a little bit, maybe back into the left, he put on the beautiful diamond ring.
I missed that. I must have glanced away.
Yeah, I get it. So did the referee. No, the referee got bumped briefly, just long enough for MJF to put the diamond ring on, like just slug Will Ospreay. It's like something they've really protected. Big fan of that, by the way. And they frame it in such a way that you can see the countdown clock. Justin Roberts announced there was a minute left. And then at that point when you saw 59-58, you saw MJF get the win. Now, when the minute left was announced, Will Ospreay was in the process of considering whether or not to hit MJF with the Tiger Drive.
Yes.
This is an ongoing story within AEW. And again, I think that is an element where that too is going to divide people's opinions on this, because the match comes down ultimately not to everything they have done to each other for 59 minutes, but the one thing that Ospreay doesn't want to do. Now, that'd be all well and good if you hadn't seen the 59 minutes of the things he'd been prepared to do.
Yes.
There is kind of an inherent problem with this Tiger Driver storyline when you're watching a match of this length, when you have seen hidden blades, plural, when you've seen apron moves, plural, styles clashes, plural. Like, they are willing to do everything, but apparently this is the step too far.
Yeah, and everything that MJF has done to Will Ospreay. You know, he doesn't... the whole thing is he's trying to not fight with emotion. He's trying to, but... he put you through a table, mate. Yeah,
it does. Like, there is a sense of, if you are critiquing the art form or you're trying to analyse this as an art form, are they really contradicting the bigger stories they're trying to tell? MJF cut a promo recently saying he's not bothered about Meltzer ratings, he's bothered about Nielsen ratings. This match would kind of argue in the opposite.
Yes.
Like, MJF is a man that wants both. And, like, more to that point, like, we love MJF here at What Culture, and I certainly, like, wanted to defend him a lot more from the criticism he was getting in 2023.
Yes.
But he has had matches like this in the past to show you that he can be this kind of wrestler. Often, like, MJF, like, takes that kind of like that mirror man thing to the next level, where he's like, oh, he's going to wrestle his style of match and get it over.
Flipped out the corner like Ospreay, of course, and then Ospreay did it even better.
He's going to do that over and over again just to show you that he can. But then sometimes, is that at the expense of the MJF character in Dynamite's early days that literally never wanted to wrestle? I will wrestle the absolute minimum that gets me up the rankings, ideally against jobbers and losers, and do as little as possible in the process. I will work smart, not hard. Look, he does both, he does it all. But I think in this era where, as a fan base, we get all of it and we get so much and we get spoiled, I think there is the danger that it sort of doesn't necessarily get him the acclaim that he deserves or he craves.
Yeah.
Something hit me during this match that basically is the kind of take where I'm basically going to make my identity for the next 3 months now. So apologies, you're going to hear this repeated ad nauseum. There is a take that WWE is a show about wrestling and AEW is a wrestling show.
Yes.
And I, as a massive WWE fan, actually agree with that. I think that is a nice way to divvy up the key difference philosophically between the two promotions. My concern with AEW is that I feel like it's becoming a show where the matches are about wrestling rather than being wrestling matches.
Okay.
It used to be the winners and losers promotion. There were various points in this match where I wasn't that fussed about who won and lost. I was more interested in watching their exhibition of the action.
Yeah, fans are chanting "Fight Forever" throughout this thing.
There are not many matches, or certainly not many combinations of matches within WWE that could generate the energy and the frenzied action that we saw in MJF versus Will Ospreay. But would I want to see who would win out of for example, Damian Priest versus Jey Uso more? Possibly, yeah. Like the result.
AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes did some amazing spots, but nothing compared to this.
No, and yet
that quite rightly got 5 stars, and people were really invested in it because they wanted to see Cody win. It was almost expected that Cody obviously would win that match.
A winner and a loser mattered more the longer the match went on because we thought it was home and dry before the bell rung. And I do.
Did you also get the feeling that I did about 20 minutes into this match? Oh, they're going an hour.
Yes, I did. I absolutely did, and I don't want that to come across like nerds on the internet saying that we told you so, we knew better, or anything.
Yes, and that wasn't me. Oh, they're going an hour. That was they're going an hour.
I like. We've discussed this before. I used to use the example of Sami Zayn and Samoa Joe taking an entire
I was thinking of you. Yeah,
and I loved the kind of like what is considered the original version of this, Danielson and Hangman Page from Winter Is Coming, which, to be absolutely fair to Tony Khan, I think he teased yesterday by saying it was one of his favourite Dynamite matches.
Did he?
So it's kind of been dropped in that, this could happen again, this could go again. There were plenty, if you go back and listen to the Dynamite preview podcast available wherever you get them, or on the YouTube channel, myself and Cedric predicted a bunch of stuff that might happen in this match, but neither of us called the hour. So there are still ways in which it can surprise and delight, but same as you, 25 minutes in, I think for me, I started thinking, right, this is going long, this might even go to the draw.
Yeah.
The Wembley rematch was something we'd already thought about and talked about, so it was like, well, how do they do a rematch? Is it a draw or is it an MJF win? So it did feel like the more I watched, the less I was actually engaged in the fiction, and the more I just was watching, being wowed by the action. And I don't necessarily think that's the worst thing, and I do understand why people think that's an insult and a desecration to the art form. But was I that fussed about the result the longer the match went? I don't think I was.
You're, like you say, you've had many arguments online about this. Brett Shawn, you could sort of feel in that match they're taking the time in parts because they're going an hour, or almost longer than an hour. But it felt like they crammed a lot more in here.
This is the point. Not that they could hide it ultimately, but their attempts to hide that it was going to go an hour by wrestling as if they were going 10. was incredible.
Surprising he needed oxygen. I did.
Yeah, to circle back to what we said at the start of this, I don't think you can talk about matches like this without praising the athleticism and the energy and the gas tanks and the physicality and all of it. I think it is next level stuff that you would watch this in the 80s and you would frankly not believe that the art form has evolved to the fact that wrestlers can do this and go at this pace and sustain what they do. And we should pay our great respects to MJF and Will Ospreay for it, but I would rather we sort of at the same time be able to acknowledge that where people hate it, there might be a critique to be had about the work too.
Yeah, I'm sure people will understand the nuance and the necessity for us to title this news the way that we have, to get clicks, and that's not necessarily being our opinion, but I'm sure people won't just see the thumbnail and immediately judge us based on that. That'd be ridiculous. But the question is where we go from here. I should mention MJF quoted John Cena on social media afterwards, saying it was the Bin Laden line, the compromise to a permanent end thing.
Yeah. They're going again.
They're going again, one would assume, because there was a part of me when this match got announced thinking, don't do it yet, I want it at Wembley.
Yeah. But it's the MJF formula, right? So you went on TV 30 minutes with Adam Cole.
Yeah.
The first match against CM Punk was on an episode of Dynamite.
The Cole match was the one I was immediately thinking of watching this.
This is it. There is a cool MJF formula where he's, again, so good at this that you get both, you get more, and you don't feel like you've already seen it all. They've put an immense amount of pressure on themselves to do something else at Wembley, but I have no doubt they will manage it. I have no doubt they will generate that incredible reaction
and
all over
back
again.
to this match, obviously.
Of course, you've created and seeded in a bunch of stuff now that can sprout in front of 40, 50,000 people. It's going to be amazing. But I am very curious. You joke about the comments, and we know the kind of stuff we get. When you're not fighting each other or calling us the worst names under the sun that we can screenshot and send to our friends. Genuinely, what are your thoughts on this? From an artistic point of view, where do you sort of rank it? How do you value it? How do you sort of rate it in 2024? Do
you compare it to Dynamite matches? Do you say, where does this rank in best AEW Dynamite matches? Or do you just say, no, where does this rank in best AEW matches?
Totally, yeah. I would much rather we have conversations where you can see this thing as a masterpiece if you feel that way, and equally see it as was this a bit flawed? Was it lacking a little something? And I like that a match can generate this level of conversation, because I do think there is an overabundance of great wrestling in 2024, and I think this was, if nothing else, something that was designed to generate a bit of discussion.
And you referenced the MJF line about Meltzer and Nielsen ratings. It's very interesting how this one plays out, because two of the biggest stars in the company right now. And one would assume that AEW are hoping people are going to be like, are you watching Dynamite? They've gone half an hour already on this. Yeah. Or people just go, I'll watch the first 10 minutes. Oh, cool, it's MJF. I'll stick around for that. And then that brings them. Or whether people go, I want more than wrestling in my wrestling almost.
The quarter hours are always interesting, but they'll tell a story in this one. And again, to be absolutely fair to MJF and Will Ospreay, that's them trying to own the spot. And the story that came out about Will Ospreay wanting to put over Swerve Strickland to end that conversation, while at the same time now the next thing he's going to do is right, I'm going to go an hour on television and work a very Will Ospreay formula match.
The week before Blood and Guts as well.
Yeah, and we talked again a couple of weeks ago about the idea of stacking up all these Dynamites on the road to Wembley. Ultimately, I think this is pretty solid brand building from AEW. I think this week's Dynamite was on par with the last couple of weeks, but I think they are once again creating the idea of what AEW as a brand is.
They're going back to what's worked for them in the past, aren't they?
I think so. The next week is going to have next week's Dynamite is going to have another 45 to 1 hour long match because of Blood and Guts. So you're going to have a Dynamite.
I got a tweet from my Chris Jericho.
You're going to have a Dynamite that again offers you a lot of the action, a lot of the wrestling that you become accustomed to. And not every week can have a heavy heat angle like Mariah May and Tony Storm, but every week can have something that defines AEW based on what its core base loves. The more you do that, the more you probably will see growth. You might not be able to chart it for a ratings quarter hour, but it takes time to turn around ticket sales and time to turn around TV ratings. And
it's a ship, isn't it? It's not just immediate.
Fundamentally, at its core, I think this is the way to do it.
It'd be very interesting to see what people have to say about this, though. We have been encouraged throughout this. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. We're going to dive into it even more on the Dynamite Review podcast, What Culture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, and of course on our YouTube channel. Miller's going to be coming with ups and downs later. It'll be interesting to see what he makes of it, especially as someone who's, actually wrestles.
Actually know how it feels. Falls on his back sometimes, and we never will and never have.
I always wonder, those spots. Obviously, you had the ice pack on Max. You had Ospreay getting shoulder popped in, his knee was getting targeted, his leg was getting targeted in parts during the match. Like, what if you injure yourself like 10 minutes in? What do you do in that scenario? Anyway, it's a conversation for a different time. I think the main thing we can take away is, they go an hour, they go, 59 minutes, 58 seconds, an hour basically, and you're thinking, wow, that's taken up literally the first hour of AEW Dynamite. How are they going to cram everything in? Oh, thank goodness, they've still got time for Chris Jericho. I was worried for a second there. I was worried we were going to have to cut the Chris Jericho segment so we could get some of the other stuff in.
What are we going to do?
There's a champion versus champion match in the main event.
See, look.
And did that hour affect the decision making in the main event? Because it just sort of went to a DQ.
Yeah, well, again, this is bold stuff putting on television. I think it encourages your viewers that this is still the anything can happen sports show, and we deal with it because it's a real setting. And these are the things that I do think long term actually help AEW, and whether or not the quality of the match is to everyone's taste. I guess we're what I call Culture Wrestling YouTube channel. We're quite different to AEW because you watch a video like this and we're going to give you a perfect follow-up. I don't know, maybe right about there. Unlike Dynamite where they've got too much Chris Jericho. I was thinking of this.
More news later. Bye.